All right, what's going on, guys? Realm Gaming here. I wanted to quickly make a video. This is just popped onto beta yesterday. I'm sure you guys have probably already seen some stuff on this already, but the huge Mythic Plus changes that are coming to War Within. Overall, I'll just say right out the gate, it's really good changes. Blizzard has actually listened to some of our feedback, especially in terms of like the new affixes and everything. But I don't want to do any spoilers. Just go ahead and jump into it, and then we can kind of discuss things a little bit more in detail as we get there. So first things first, the affix update overview. I'll just kind of read some of this stuff out here. So we're reducing the total number of mechanical affixes on a keystone for players progressing through the system from 2 to 1. So now we don't have like multiple affixes we have to deal with. There's one affix that you have to deal with. Not 2, not 3. There's one affix. So that is really good. They are retiring Sanguine, Bolstering, Raging, and Bursting. So originally they were going to keep these, and it sounds like that they just kind of listened to some of our feedback. People don't want these. We hate playing around them. They're annoying, so they are removing them, so that's really good. Then also the brand new affixes, Reckless, Focus, Attune, and Thorn that they were going to add into the game, they are removing those as well. So that's really nice because, to be honest, it's just a terrible design, in my opinion. You're going to want to take specific DPS specs, specific classes on certain weeks. Certain specs would feel left out on a week-to-week basis. It just wasn't a good design. So very happy that all this is removed. All this is not good for Mythic Plus. So we'll start with that. Then everything down here is them just basically introducing the new affixes that they're going to add. We'll talk about that here in just a second. I think one thing that's really key here is they're trying to eliminate push weeks. So if you played really high keys, there are certain weeks that are better than others. We just call them push weeks. And on a push week, since the key was so much easier, you try to push your key to the very highest level. And then unfortunately, after the push week, you'd have to wait for another push week. That could be 2, 3, 4 weeks, just depending on that set of affix rotation. Okay, getting into Xal'atath's Bargain Ascendant first. So while in combat, Xal'atath rains down orbs of cosmic energy that attempt to empower nearby enemies, increasing their haste and movement speed. If players disrupt these orbs, they claim the effect for themselves. So if you have some sort of Typhoon, Ring of Peace, whatever, you can knock the mobs out of these orbs and you can claim that buff for yourself and your party. So 1 week we'll have that, and then the next week we'll have Frenzied. And Frenzied non-boss enemies can become Frenzied at 30% health remaining, increasing their haste by 40%, but increasing their damage taken by 20%. So if you play this correctly, once they hit 30% health, you can kind of drop your CC, stun everything, slow them, whatever, and it's actually going to be a benefit for us. So both of these can actually benefit your party if you play it correctly, and if you don't, then it's not going to benefit you. It's going to go the other way, right? So that's at the +2 keystone level, and you won't see anything else new until you get up to a 7. Now, once you hit 7, you will be getting Challenger's Peril, and basically what this is going to do is instead of it being 5 seconds on a death timer, it's going to be 15 instead. So that sounds really bad. I mean, that is a massive increase. So that's something to kind of be worried about. However, at the same time, I would probably take this over all the other crazy affixes, the one-shot Raging, the Sanguine that somebody accidentally dropped a cat totem on the Sanguine pool and everything gets healed up to full. I'd probably rather have something like this than just all the other little things that would indirectly add time to a key. So, starting at 12, so that's going to be the old 22 keystone level. Starting at a 12, basically these new affixes, the Xal'atath Bargain affixes, they're going to be gone completely. So you don't have to worry about those anymore. However, all right here, empowering all dungeon creatures with 20% increased health and damage. So that's a pretty big trade-off, to be honest, because now not only are we losing the benefits that we get from those two affixes if you play them correctly, but also they're getting a 20% increase in health and damage. Now, why are they doing this? Why at a 12 would they all of a suddenly get rid of these two affixes and change it to something like this? The reason is due to balancing, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into fortified and tyrannical. But I personally think that at a very high key level, they have issues balancing a little bit the damage that comes out from mobs, how specific groups can kind of cheese affixes. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of all that. Because if you think about it, I'm sure there's going to be some crazy ways to cheese these frenzied and ascendant. So I think right now Blizzard's just thinking, hey, once you get to a 22, you know, these two affixes could be very difficult to balance around. So we're just going to get rid of them and replace that with 20% increased health and damage on the mobs. Now, we also have fortified and tyrannical, and this is the part where I don't really agree with what Blizzard's doing here. It's good and bad. It's not all bad, to be honest, but I wish they would just get rid of fortified tyrannical. We don't need them. We don't need these sort of affixes to make the dungeon feel different and unique. However, what they're doing it and the way that they're doing it, I think is actually pretty decent. But overall, I wish they'd just get rid of fortified and tyrannical and come up with something new at this point. But too late in the game for that. The game releases here in a couple months, so we're probably going to be sticking with this at least for the first couple of seasons. But I do think that they are looking at fortified and tyrannical, which is a good thing. All right, now starting at a 2, of course, we have those Xalatath affixes that we'd already talked about on a weekly rotation. Very interesting there. Hopefully we keep that up. We keep new things like this being added to Mythic Plus. I think those are both very good affixes. Starting at a 4, this is where we're reintroduced to fortified or tyrannical. Now, this is going to alternate on a weekly rotation like it does now. However, there's a little bit of a twist here. So starting at a 10, it's going to be the opposite. So if you're at a 4, if you're on the week where a 4 is fortified, then on a 10, that's going to be tyrannical. It's always going to be the opposite of what the other is. So if you're at a 4 tyrannical, then that same week, the 10 is going to be fortified. So those two are always going to be the opposite of each other. And then, of course, at 7, we do have the Challenger's Peril for that 15 seconds on the death timer if you do die. So overall, really good so far. The affixes, the old affixes like we know them, are gone. This is great. They're introducing affixes that can positively impact your group. So what they're trying to do is bring the player, not the spec or the class sort of mentality, which is going to be very good for including all sorts of different specs. You want to bring the best player to your group. You don't want to bring the best spec necessarily. So I do like the direction that we're heading here. Okay, now starting at a 12, this is where things get interesting. So if you noticed already, we have fortified and tyrannical at the same time on the same week, and nothing alternates here. So every week a 12 and up is going to look the exact same. Fortified, Challenger's Peril, tyrannical, and then we're getting rid of Xalatath's Bargain and we're replacing that with the 20% increased health and damage. Now, I personally think this is a good thing in disguise. It sounds super scary. However, I think this is going to help Blizzard balance harder content on a week-to-week basis. I think one of the biggest problems that Blizzard has right now is balancing the damage between fortified and tyrannical weeks. And when you combine them together, it's almost like they don't even exist. Because now you're not necessarily saying, okay, do we need to balance fortified? Do we need to balance tyrannical? It's really just balance the dungeon in general. And don't necessarily quote me on this, but this could be the first steps towards them removing fortified and tyrannical. When you combine both of them, again, it's almost like the other doesn't exist because nothing changes from a week-to-week basis. You know, you're going to have to deal with that boss or with that trash pack every single week. And that will help in terms of balancing. And I think that will help just in terms of planning your routes from a week-to-week basis. So guys, let me know what you think in terms of just these changes in general for Mythic Plus, right? Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think this is a huge win for Mythic Plus. They have completely, I mean, they've listened to everything that we've requested and they've acted on it within just a couple weeks. So that's really, really good. I think the last thing they need to do with Mythic Plus is they need to sort of relook at class utility again. I think that's the last thing that Mythic Plus is truly missing is certain specs just bring so much more than other specs. I think that's the last piece to the puzzle that they're really missing. In terms of balance and design, though, I think this is really going to help us from season to season in terms of balancing these dungeons, in terms of what we can expect as a player base on a week-to-week basis. So, again, huge win here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We'll see you on the next one.